Hey guys, Drifter here. I have a comparison video for you between the G36 and the ACR 6.8. The ACR is the overpowered or cheap weapon commonly seen online, a lot of the ones that people complain or unsubscribe over when I use, but it's still the most common and one of the best weapons in Modern Warfare 3. However, I feel that the G36C is often overlooked. Now, a lot of you in-depthers out there know that the G36 and the ACR are very similar, and some players have a great affinity for the G36, and for good reason. Today we're going to compare these two weapons and see which one is better. The first thing that we're going to compare today is damage. The ACR deals 45 damage in close quarters combat, but drops off to 30 damage at a distance. The G36 deals 40 damage in close quarters combat, but drops off to 25 damage at long ranges. What this means is that the ACR just does more damage than the G36. It does more damage up close, and more damage far away, and more damage all the way down the curve. However, they both take the exact same amount of shots to kill. They will both kill in 3 shots in close quarters combat, and kill at 4 shots at a distance. So perhaps comparing these weapons on a damage basis isn't necessarily the best thing. How about we move over to range and see if there's a difference there? When comparing ranges, you'll see that the ACR and the G36 have remarkably similar ranges. They're only a few meters apart, so perhaps it would be better to see if there's any point at which the ACR does more damage or less damage than the G36. And the reality is that the ACR 6.8 does more damage than the G36 at all ranges. At no range will the G36C ever be doing more damage than an ACR unless the G36 is not silenced and the ACR is silenced. Just saying that the ACR does more damage than the G36 would be both short-sighted and, in this case, incorrect. There are many more things going on with the ACR and the G36 than their damage. Another big one is rate of fire. The ACR fires at 705 RPM, which is actually quite slow for the assault rifles, and the G36 fires at 769 RPM, which is closer to the top of the pack of the assault rifles. The assault rifles fire pretty closely together, so while it may not seem that important, that 769 RPM puts this gun in a closer time to kill range to the M4 in close quarters, whereas the ACR kills very slowly. Kind of spoiling the next bit here. The G36C kills faster than the ACR at almost all ranges. There are a few ranges. There's this tiny, narrow little band from like 22 meters to I think like 26, 27 meters, something like that. Just a little 4-meter band where the ACR kills faster than the G36, and that's because of the more damage. But especially in close quarters combat, in long range combat, and in every single range except for that narrow little band, the G36C is going to kill people faster than the ACR, assuming that all of your bullets land, of course. Right here in the middle of this video, I would like to take a short break and redirect you all to a video that I have on Machinima Respawn. It's the MP9 versus the Scorpion. It's exactly like this one, but it's on Machinima Respawn, and I promised people that I would post the links to videos when they go on Respawn, so here it is. There's a link down in the description, or you can click the link up there on the screen. Another key factor when comparing two weapons is the reload time. These two are actually quite different. The ACR has a reload cancel time of 1.1 seconds, whereas the G36 has a reload cancel time of 1.5 seconds. That doesn't sound like too big of a deal, but it's a much bigger deal when you factor in the fact that the G36C has a much longer reload animation when empty, and it tends to throw a lot of players off. A lot of the MLG types, they always reload cancels, but a lot of people, they don't really reload cancel. They wait for the whole animation to cycle through, and the ACR has a much shorter reload animation and a much shorter reload time, so the ACR is a better weapon for reloading. I will say that the G36's reload animation is much more entertaining to watch. The dude just flips the magazines around in his fingers like they're cards or something, and while it gives me this mental impression that it's faster, it's really not. The last hard quantitative thing that we're going to talk about today is swap time, and at this, the G36C absolutely dominates the ACR. As a matter of fact, the G36C dominates most guns in Modern Warfare 3 and really only competes with pistols as far as swap time is concerned. You can draw the G36C and put it away faster than any other weapon in the game with the exception of some pistols. It has an incredible swap time. That's why I highly recommend it for riot shield classes or as an overkill weapon because you can swap to it very quickly. Now we're moving into a more qualitative and opinionated matter, but I think that the ACR has much better iron sights than the G36. There are obviously worse iron sights in the game than the G36, and the center reticule is fairly clear, but the outer ring around that reticule is fairly blocky, and it makes it uncomfortable to shoot. Like I said before, I think that there are many worse iron sights. The M4A1 bothers me a lot more, but the ACR iron sights are quite good. I wouldn't say that the ACR iron sights are good in the same way that the MP7 iron sights are good, or perhaps perhaps like the Scar L iron sights, but they are open, they are clear, and they are definitely easy to use. And if I had to choose, I would always take the ACR iron sights over the G36 iron sights, and this might be a personal thing for me. I'm not sure if the rest of you have experienced this or not, but it feels like the G36 iron sights have more wobble than the ACR. More when you sit there and do nothing and aim down sights, they wobble left and right a little bit more. I'm not entirely sure about that, but maybe. All of that other stuff I discussed is very important. Damage, range, rate of fire, time to kill, etc., but no gun in this game is any better than your ability to aim it. So it is very important to discuss accuracy, and in this respect, the ACR is more accurate. It is the more accurate of these two weapons, would be the best way to say it, but the G36 is the more precise weapon. Perhaps it would be best if we took a look at a scatter graph of their recoil provided by Simthic.com. That link is down there in the description. You can see the top one is the ACR on the left, G36 on the right, and the bottom one is ACR kick and the G36 kick on the right. You can see that the ACR tends closer toward the center, especially with kick, but the G36 has very little horizontal recoil. It pretty much just kicks straight up, but it really will kick very far off target. If you look at the top right quadrant, you'll see the blue dot is quite far up there. When you put kick on the weapons, the ACR is remarkably accurate and precise. It's just not too precise without the kick. The G36C's kick gets more in line with the MP7. It's not as accurate as the MP7, but it is very accurate. My bad, not accurate. I'm skipping ahead to the next part. I was about to say that because the G36C is more precise and it has a higher center speed, it's very easy to control the recoil. If you just hold down the trigger and hose people, your bullets are going to kick up into the sky. But if you pull down slightly or shoot in short bursts and let the center speed do its job, it can have a very controllable recoil and you can make it very accurate. Whereas the ACR is essentially a bullet hose on its own and you don't really need to do anything to it for it to be accurate. At the end of this episode, what you really want to know is which weapon is better. So I've put together a rubric to kind of help you because these weapons are remarkably similar. These weapons are more similar than most of my other weapon comparisons. I mean, the G36C might kill a little faster, but it's marginally faster. It's not crazy fast or anything. The big difference here is if you prefer a precision weapon or an accuracy weapon, and because of the difference on kick on the ACR, it makes a huge difference. Also depends on what console you're playing on and what you want and that sort of thing. I think my cell phone just buzzed in the middle of this fucking commentary, and if that picks up on this audio, I'm going to be very, very disappointed. Anyway, the rubric goes, are you playing on a console and are you using kick? If you use kick on your weapons commonly, the ACR is going to be better. If you want something that's not kick, if you want impact, if you want multiple attachments, if you want focus, the G36 is better because it's easier to control the G36 recoil because it's pretty much just straight up. You're going to get more recoil, but it's easier to control. Now, if you're not playing on a console and you're playing on PC, the G36 is definitely better because with the mouse control and how easy it is to adjust your shots, or no, my bad, adjust your aim between shots on PC with the G36. The G36 is an absolute death laser, and it really does outclass the ACR. But if you're playing MLG, if you're playing competitively on any console, if your main objective is to win and you're playing other good people, the ACR is better because it's kind of a bullet hose. The G36 takes a little bit of finesse to use, it reloads a little bit slower, but if you're playing in an MLG situation, you don't have the luxury of posting up and shooting controlled bursts and recorrecting your aim all the time, and reloading slowly can really bugger you up and kill you. So you're going to want to get the ACR. MLG guys don't really run kick, they probably run focus and just hose people. The ACR is a much better hose weapon, so if you're playing competitively, I would go ACR. To run this by you again, if you're playing on console, just public matches. If you're using kick, ACR. If you're not using kick, G36. If you're playing on console, which is where most MLG events are, and you're playing MLG, use ACR. If you're playing on PC because you have the luxury of mouse controls, the G36C is going to be your weapon of choice because it's going to be much, much more accurate and you can ping people from very far away. Well guys, that's the end of this video. I hope that you enjoyed it and I hope that you learned something useful. If you would like to see me compare two other weapons in Modern Warfare 3, or, you know, really, we could go back to Modern Warfare 2 or Black Ops. I'm getting a little bored with MW3. Just really whatever you want to see, post it down there in the comments, and I'll take your advice. Drifter out.